Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, and thank you so much for joining us for our March Sip and Pitch Friday. My name is Carly Specht. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm Associate Director of Affiliate Relations and External Affairs. Before we get into the rules and guidelines for today's program, I'm excited to introduce our three incredible judges here with us today. We have Marisol Ramirez from Interpublic Group, Jade Santiago from Liberty Mutual Group, and Anjanetta Friesen from United Health Group. Thank you all so much for being here and serving as judges today. Now I'm going to go over some rules and guidelines for the presentations. So first, each company will have 5 minutes to pitch. I will have a timer up on my screen that will count down during each presentation, and then I will also unmute myself to remind you when you have 30 seconds left. Next, we will have just one presenter from each participating company. After each pitch, judges will have up to 10 minutes to give feedback and ask any questions of the presenters. And then some of the presenters might have PowerPoint presentations, some might not. Doesn't matter either way. This program is designed to be informal to provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. And reminder to the audience to please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. And remember that this is a judgment-free zone. This program is designed to help you enhance your pitch and grow your business. So of course, all feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration. And lastly, and most importantly, have fun. Feel free to grab your beverage of choice and enjoy this last Friday of the month. All right, so let's get started. First up, we have Chris Rollins presenting Ripple Effect Leadership. Chris, I am going to get my timer set up and then you can get started whenever you're ready.
All right, let's rock and roll. My dad bought me my first set of golf clubs when I was 6. At 8, Phil Mickelson's on TV, and I'm just chipping in this little practice area I set up right there in my living room. Junior year, I go to a boarding school for golfers, even though it means leaving all my friends, my family, breaking up with my girlfriend, Lindsay. It all pays off. I get a scholarship to play Division I at Davidson College. I'm moving in my freshman year, and I meet this guy across the hall. His name is Chase. And Chase and I become best friends, hanging out together all the time. And one afternoon, we're in my room talking, and I notice I just sort of fade out the words that he's saying, and now I'm just watching his lips move. Huh. He's kind of cute. Later that night, we're pre-gaming on the hall with the guys like we always do. Chase and I exchange some glances. I pretend to point at something across the room, just to graze his hand. Whoa. It's like a jolt of electricity runs through my body. 2 weeks later, and I cannot stop thinking about Chase. One night, I'm just standing there in front of the bathroom mirror. What the heck is wrong with you? Stop thinking about him. Do you really want to go down this path? No. You are not gay. I am not gay. But that summer, when I kissed Chase for the first time, I know. We go back to school that fall, and we are keeping things on the down low. Meanwhile, my dad, he's been calling and calling and calling, and I'm just ignoring him because he only ever wants to talk about 3 things: golf, grades, and girls. And I don't know how to tell him about Chase, but I know I got to tell him. So I pick a date. 3 weeks from today, he's coming to visit me at a golf tournament in Georgia. I'm going to tell him then. That night at dinner, I'm just pushing food around my plate, trying to find the words to share, trying to find the courage to share, until finally, just as he's about to sign the dinner check, Dad, I'm gay, and I'm happy. His name is Chase. Dad drops the pen he's using to sign the check, and then he looks at me, and he says, I am so proud of you. That's awesome. Well, that went really well. But I know it might not have. But it did because my dad made me feel safe, seen, accepted. And I know the way he showed up in that moment, the way he handled that one conversation was a key reason I was able to become SVP of Organizational Development at a $40 million company with 200 employees by the age of 30. And it's why today I help organizations develop leaders who create those same kinds of ripple effects for their people. Because how you show up today, tomorrow, and the next day will impact people 5, 10, 20 years from now. And now, today in our workplaces and in our world, at a time when trust is low, polarization is high, the biggest problem isn't a lack of effort, it's a lack of awareness about how much impact you can have. What if the way that you showed up in a single moment could change everything for your team, your organization, even the next generation? That's at the heart of what I call ripple effect leadership. And today I get to partner with organizations through keynotes and workshops to help their leaders create ripple effect moments, moments that create trust and build connection so that they can drive speed, momentum, and scale in their business. I've worked with companies like Walmart, SAP, Oracle, Clorox, YouTube, TD Bank, Raymond James, and I've received a 98% rating from almost 800 survey respondents and people in my audiences. And it's because my keynotes don't just inspire, they stick. I'm Chris Rollins. Thank you so much for your time. And remember, the ripple starts with you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Great job. And right under the 5-minute mark, which we love to see. All right, I'm going to turn it over to our judges so that we can get started with some feedback. Marisol, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Thank you for that, Chris. So I'm going to be honest. At first, as you were speaking, I said, what does this intro have to do with the business? So I'm glad that eventually you got to the point where you spoke about your dad and the effect it had in your career. For me, I would have liked the intro to be a little bit shorter and more focused on what your company does per se, and more examples of the type of work that you've done with corporations. Um, that's basically the notes that I had.
Awesome. Thanks, Marisol.
Thanks, Marisol. Jade, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. Chris, you were super engaging. If there's anything I could say, that like the first thing I need to remind you of, like your engagement, I'm like bought in. I was taking notes and I agree about the storyline being a little longer. I think 5 minutes is sometimes a long time, and so how do you fill that extra piece of time in there? I almost was about to say you had no stats, but then you gave me a 98% rating at the end. I would say talk more, add a couple more stats. You got to remember everybody that's listening. Some people need numbers, some people need the storyline, so then you get everyone that's in there. And I am happy you took it home. I understood the ripple effect. To the same point, I almost say it's too long, but I'll never forget the story. So I think at the end of what you said, that you create ripple effects, and I forget the words. I'm sorry I didn't write them down, but they're memorable. So I'll never forget you, if that means anything, even if it took a while. So not to change it, but even if it took a while, I'll never forget you. The one thing I will forget is I didn't hear any numbers. And I think the numbers need to matter, just more dollars, more money, more stats, more anything like that about what's the ROI that people are going to see, not just satisfaction, but how are they going to see it within their business? That really needs to be driven home a little more, even if it's like par or something else that you talk about, or you had like the 3 G's: golf, grades, girls. You're like, and I'm gay. Like, you had all the G's, but like, what's the other G? That's like dollars. Do you know what I mean? Like, what else will they get out of it? So, great job. I really tell you, I see that's the only thing I'd add.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jade. And Janetta?
I'm echoing some of what my colleagues have said. I enjoyed it. I think one of the things that organizations need to do a better job of is storytelling. But to Jade's point, adding a few more variables would be helpful. But I started out the same way as Marisol, like, okay, is he a storyteller? Like, where are we going with this? But I was locked in and I was invested. Okay, I'm trying to really understand exactly where things are going. So I love the story. I loved how you kept me captivated because now I want to see what's happening. I think the build up, I loved everything about it, with the exception of, to Mary's Jade's point, was to add more of the inputs and variables, add them up, add more into it in on that perspective. But other than that, I really didn't have a lot of comments. I loved it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I guess my strategy, since I am a keynote speaker, was to give you an experience of me speaking. And so that was my goal. And I received the advice to incorporate some additional like value driving statistics, if you will.
Thanks so much for your feedback, Anjanetta. And we do have a couple more minutes for feedback. If anybody has any follow-up questions for Chris, if there's anything from his presentation or from his pitch that you have follow-up questions on, if you didn't get enough of that in the pitch, feel free to speak up. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Chris. That was a great pitch. Really enjoyed hearing your story. Before we get started with our next presenter, Seven, we did have one presenter who needed to drop out last minute. So going to put this out there now. If anybody on the call today is interested in pitching their business on the fly, please feel free to send me a message in the chat. This is an informal judgment-free zone, like I said, so feel free to volunteer even if you don't have a presentation. This is good practice. But I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it and we will circle back to see if we have any volunteers after Seven goes. So awesome. That's the fastest we've ever had a volunteer for an extra spot. So that's great. Maxwell, we'll get you set up right after Seven pitches and gets their feedback. So thanks so much for volunteering.
Thank you. Yeah, of course.
All right. So next we have Seven from Q Plus Collective. And Seven, if you have a presentation you're going to be using, you can go ahead and share that now. I'm going to get ready with my timer. And then once you are set up and ready, you can get started whenever you're ready, and I will start my timer once you start.
Great, thank you so much. Can you confirm that you can see my screen shared here?
Yep, looks great.
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. All right, hello everyone. Chris, thank you for starting us off. And I appreciate judges you making the time to be here. My name is Seven Winchell and I use they, them pronouns. And I'm excited to introduce you to Q Plus Collective, a queer-to-queer consultancy. Queer and trans leaders, as we know, are building businesses, leading organizations, and shaping communities. But we're doing it with fewer resources, higher risks, and almost no safety net. That's why my best friend Nico and I started Q Plus Collective, to change that. At the end of 2023, we were having dinner when Nico, who pretty consistently hates her job, said, I was thinking in the shower this morning how different things would be if we could show up to work as ourselves and spend time supporting other queer leaders in our community. I said to her that sounded like something we could do right now. Q Plus Collective is the result of that vision, a hub of services and resources designed by and for queer leaders. And as it turns out, we weren't the only ones who needed it. Queer businesses contribute over $1.7 trillion to the economy, yet less than 1% of philanthropic dollars go to LGBTQ plus issues. Meanwhile, 46% of queer professionals say that they hide part of their identity at work. And 84% say that they would be willing to go the extra mile for businesses that actually care for and support them. On top of that, queer leaders face targeted threats, higher safety risks, and burnout, especially now. And many organizations don't know how to navigate those challenges. The cost, without support, queer-led businesses and nonprofits struggle to survive, let alone to grow. That's where we come in. Q Plus Collective provides the strategy, security, and support that queer leaders need to thrive. Our team works across industries to provide direct support, including 1, operations support, helping organizations run more smoothly and sustainably. 2, political and policy support, including threat analysis, training, and crisis response. And 3, communications, helping leaders and organizations show up safely and effectively. We bring expertise in strategy and operations so that our clients can focus on their mission, not just on survival. We work with two key audiences. The first is small queer-led businesses and entrepreneurs, helping them to streamline operations, stay safe, and scale impact. The second is queer leaders working within larger organizations or nonprofits, supporting them in engaging queer communities and building long-term strategies. Clients have included grant writing for an education advocate in California, business development for a trans-led food pop-up here in DC, and organizing and communication support for a national organization historically focused on women's rights and racial justice. The stakes have always been high, but they got even higher at the end of 2024. The only constant in the threats that the new administration poses is uncertainty. Q+ Collective has responded by focusing in on two key offerings. The first is risk assessment, helping queer leaders and businesses understand the threats that they specifically face and to plan accordingly. The second is strategic communications, training queer-led organizations and their clients and community on how to keep doing the work while messaging it safely. We know these challenges are not going away, so we're building long-term strategies to keep our community safe and strong. Where are we now? It is the 50th anniversary of Pride happening right here in DC, and we've launched a campaign to raise $50,000 for the 50 years of Pride in order to expand pro bono support, grow our capacity to serve organizations facing real and immediate threats, and invest in long-term stability to support queer leadership. We're also reaching new audiences by expanding our partnerships with organizations that want to do this work right now. Here's how you can get involved. Number one, you can fund this work. We're trying to meet our goal of $50K by the time Pride comes around. Number two, connect us. We appreciate introductions to businesses and organizations that need the support Q+ Collective is able to offer. And three, collaborate with us. If your company or organization is working with queer communities, we'd love to talk about how we can strategize together. Q+ Collective started with a shower thought, and we're here to help others turn their ideas into action too. Thank you.
Great job, Seven. Thank you so much. What a great pitch. I will turn it over to the judges now so that we can get some feedback here. Jade, do you want to start us off this time?
Yes, I will. So I'm on my phone. Sorry, I just flew from DC. And I'm like in a bubble somewhere just trying to take this phone call because my flight was delayed. So in a few minutes I'll switch to my other Zoom on my computer. But I just came from DC. So my first thought is I wasn't sure if at first I was wondering, am I paying for this? Like, do I help fund? So I love that there was a funding mechanism towards the end, but I did think that. I was like, oh, does this sound like you're looking for funds? And then towards the end, I got it. I loved all the stats that you sprinkled through. I thought those were wisely done. And here's where we fit in. Those transitions were also very smooth because that's what was happening in my brain next. I wanted to know what was going on, and you were right on time. If I could add any feedback, I would say I felt like when you dropped DC so much, I heard DC and I felt like it was only in DC. So maybe get out of that because, you know, most companies are all over the place. And so I don't know why, it's just me personally, it just popped into my brain. And I was thinking, is this global? Is it oh, wait a second, is this only a DC thing? I quickly went to regional. So I would drop the DC stuff, period, and just stick to Pride. I loved it feels like you were doing three different things that I got in there. There's a way to get how to collaborate, how I can support, and it didn't have to be as a company. I can do it as a person. I can do it as a company. I could tell somebody else about you. So I felt like you gave me a lot of freedom of ways to work with you. I didn't feel like I was stuck in the box. And so I really appreciate that because many times as an organization, I'm like, our company doesn't have that palette, but let me connect you. But not everybody's that creative and free spirited to think that way. So you really gave whoever's listening free thought to go into those areas. So really well done. I would also end that shower thing about the idea in the shower. And I would use that word again, like, hey, it started with the idea in the shower and we're here to shower more ideas across. But I would throw that shower out there again and make it like kind of resonate more. Because we all do have great ideas in a shower. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get you. I have them all the time. Good work. I really enjoyed it. And I love your name. You and Nico have cool names. So could have, I mean, I probably had nothing to do with that, but it's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much, Jade. Seven is actually my chosen name, so I will take credit.
Oh, even better. Even better. I love it. Very nice.
you.
Love it. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Jade. Yeah, shower thoughts are very real.
Yeah.
All right, and Janetta, do you want to go next?
Well, Jay didn't leave a lot for me to talk about, but that's okay. So I won't reiterate anything that you've already been given. I don't have anything to add. I learned about the organization. I know your business. I know what it does. I know how me as an end user can participate. So I think you've dotted I's and crossed T's. I don't have a lot to add. Great job.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a question as a listener?
Yes.
I'm curious, number one, if you felt compelled to action, and number two, what you most remember.
For me as a listener, what I remember is the beginning, right? How did we get here? So that was helpful to me. I felt a need to take action, but not right away, right? I felt that there was opportunity for me to take some action, but it wasn't like I really kind of need to get out there tomorrow to do something, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Janetta. Marisol?
So Jade did such a wonderful recap. Jade, I appreciate it because you did state a lot of things that I had made notes on. One thing I do want to point out is on slide 2, I believed you had investment spelt wrong. And that stuck out to me. So I would look at that and make sure that investment is spelled right. I did like the examples of the work that you're doing. I will say this presentation resonated with me because I do have a queer child who is very big on activism and equality and is out there in the world doing the work. So because of that, I guess I tuned in a bit more to see what your organization was doing. So it did appeal to me. I think on the terms of where your global and local reaches, you could be more specific as to where, because I'm curious as to where your global and local reaches. And other than that, well done.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback.
Thank you so much, judges. Any other last questions for Seven before we keep going? Yeah, go ahead.
Evan, what companies are you working with now, like on like a corporate side? And there's a niche area that you've kind of like a category or what kind that you find yourself falling into more?
Thank you, Jade. Yeah, I'm actually curious about how you three might advise on this. I'm happy to share the folks that we have been working with. The reason I don't name anyone in the presentation is for safety concerns. Well, yeah, okay. I'm getting head nods, so great. Okay. Okay, the folks we have worked with so far, our widest reaching partner has been the YWCA, who we worked with leading up to the election. And they're trying to be more inclusive in their language and work. We work with a lot of folks who are based in DC, which is just by virtue of being here. But two education firms. One is called Black Education Advocates Network. They're based in California, and Education Leaders of Color, who is all over the country. Those are our biggest clients so far.
Nice. You have a nonprofit portion to your organization. Yeah, it sounds, I feel like I would love to just connect with Liberty on the nonprofit side. So feel free to reach out at any moment. There's lots of ways to donate money that people are always doing in company matches. And so it made me just think about other ways. And I also keep saying, if for advice,
I think of ERG spaces, working on our language through our employee resource groups at our companies. I think that's a really good space, and allyship, and how do we get better? I'll just say for me, when I was terrible with pronouns. I didn't know how to put them and where to say them, and I think that's still a real thing now still, and we need help. And sometimes it takes an outside voice, and it sounds like you've got all the legislation pieces together, and we work with our legal teams a lot. I would tell you ERGs are really where it's at. And I would tout that legal piece a lot, like hang on to that. And because everybody right now is working with their legal teams. So how can you jump on that bandwagon?
Very helpful. Thank you. And I will certainly follow up with you, Jade.
Thanks so much, Jade. That's great feedback. And thank you to the rest of the judges as well. And to Seven, you all did a fantastic job. And now we'll come to our last impromptu presenter. Maxwell, are you ready to hop on and give your pitch?
Yes, I am. Hi. So I will say, just to preface, I don't have like the most, I'll say like pulled together pitch because it is kind of impromptu.
Yes, you're taking last minute. So as we said, it's all informal. It's all in the spirit of improving your pitch and everything. So I'll get off here and put the timer up for you, and you can just get started whenever.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so my name is Maxwell Poyser. I work with Fern Connections. I am our head of advertising, marketing, and social media. So you could say that I am one of the people that's kind of at the forefront of telling people about the brand, which is why I'm here today to introduce you to Fern Connections. Fern Connections is a LGBTQIA+ and ally inclusive coaching and matchmaking company. I feel like those are a lot of words to throw at y'all, so I'd like to be able to break that down kind of like within 3 parts. So when we say LGBTQIA+ and ally inclusive, that's really just a way for us to kind of provide a call signal out to everyone and say that we are holding space for the folks who, would feel comfortable being in an inclusive and diverse environment. So I like to say that we work with everybody, but we don't work with anybody, because safety is always one of our top concerns, whether that's safety for our clients, providing safe spaces for people to be themselves and authentically share what's, unique to them, and also for our team, and making sure that everyone feels like the people that they're interacting with within the business are going to be mindful and respectful, and just make sure that it's a good company culture for us internally. For coaching, we do 3 different elements of coaching. We have date coaching, relationship coaching, and teen coaching. Date coaching is for those who are looking to have, actionable goals on how to date better, how to put yourself out there, what to wear on a first date, what are helpful topics to engage with on a first date, just those really great building blocks, and then expanding from those building blocks into something, more actionable and energetic for a first date. After that, we have relationship coaching, which can be something that is done both in couples or singular, where you're really thinking about, how do I become a better partner? How do I navigate conflict in my relationship? How do I show up as, my best self within my relationship with myself? That way I can be a better person for others, etc. This relationship coaching isn't necessarily just about dating. It really is just kind of a holistic connection coaching standpoint. And then, of course, teen coaching is going to be probably the most unique out of these 3. What we do for our teens is arguably not going to be similar to what we do for adults, just because they are a unique environment of people and they need different things than adults do. But we do work with a lot of teens just in the similar frame of, how to format healthy connections, that could be friendships, how to, feel like you can reach out to others when you're in a space of need, whether that's, I'm coming out of the closet, or, I want to talk to somebody about transitioning. How do I start that conversation with my parents? And even how to start dating. There are necessarily no rule books when it comes to dating, and the idea of being, 15 and newly queered to yourself and out in the world, and there's all this information that's being strewn out to you from social media and the media, just, television broadcasts. Generally, it can be very hard to kind of take what works for you and leave what doesn't. So we like to be able to provide a certified and just authentic approach to learning for individuals. That, although, is also something that's true for everybody. And then for our last pillar, we do matchmaking. So matchmaking is typically exactly how it sounds. We like to say that we're headhunters for love. So that could be anywhere from, a 6 months to, we have clients that we've worked with that have been working with us for 3+ years, just because it is a very much commitment that you're making, not only to yourself, but also to just your life broadly. A lot of people, especially with dating apps, really like to be able to swipe and find somebody really quickly, but there is an element of, being able to slow down and figure out what works for you. And we like to say to our clients that we can promise them an 85-ish% compatibility rate. And that really is something that's only reached through a mutual respect and time and commitment. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to stop. But there's definitely a few more things that I would have been able to say. But yes.
Thank you so much, Maxwell, and hopefully the judges can give you an opportunity to share a little bit more and maybe some of the questions that they ask. But thank you so much for pitching impromptu.
Yeah, of course.
Not the way that we set the program up, but there's opportunities to do it every once in a while, and it's not easy, but it's also the way that you're probably gonna have to pitch for the most part in real life.
I feel like I was
So
like talking really fast, and I was like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm getting everything going.
well, you seemed prepared to me. It was very linear and very
Well,
clear.
thank you.
So great job. And thank you so much for stepping up to do that. That was awesome.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to go over to the judges for some feedback. And Janetta, do you want to start us off this time?
All right, sure. So congratulations. Thank you for presenting impromptu. I feel that your tone, your speed, you know your business. So that's a good thing. So I felt that you kind of knew exactly what you were talking about. I like this concept of this business. I really, in the beginning, I wasn't sure exactly what you did exactly, until you got to kind of breaking down the components of dating, relationship, team. And I thought you were saying team. Then he was like, teen, because they require, I'm like, okay, it's teen. So I liked everything about it. Some things that were kind of popping into my head as you were talking was, are the services provided virtual? Are they in person? What are the credentials of the individuals that provide this type of service? Let me see. So those were some of the notes that I kind of had. So, and I'll save some time for my colleagues on phone.
No, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Janetta. Marisol, do you want to go next?
First of all, good job doing it on the fly.
Thank you.
So I commend you, because I know it's not always easy to just be impromptu, but as a person who works in business, impromptu is sometimes the only thing that you may get. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for being able to present, and you did well. I also too thought it was team, TEAM at first. So when you said teen, I was like, and my notes said know your audience, right? Because at first I was like, what does dating and relationship and teams have to do to get like with each other? And then it was TEAN, so it all came together. One thing that I like that you said is that you work with everybody, but not with anybody, which to me created a sense of safe space, right? When you're talking about your business. And I think that's very important. I liked that you had a percentage of what your compatibility rate is, because these type of services, one never knows, right? So I think that that was great stating it up front. I do like the idea of the business. I also was thinking from being in my company, if we were approached with this type of business, how would we work with something like this? So that was something to consider. And other than that, those are the notes that I had.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Marisol. And Jade.
Maxwell, you're always going to pitch on the fly. So just remember that it's always going to be on the fly all the time. Be ready. And I'd also say, like, don't worry about filling a whole 5 minutes. It's okay to fill 2, 3.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, have a pitch that's ready for either one. Most of the time, no one's going to listen to you for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And at that point, they're going to be like the Chris, where he talked about like losing the words. They were just moving their mouth. So I'd say it's okay to pack a nice punch and 2.5 and then open it up and get engagement to the other person. Like even in a forum like this, you get to make it however you want. It's your pitch. There is no style per se, right? I did miss the first one, the 3 pillars. I don't know why I missed the first one. Like clear, was it safety? I just assume it was safety, the first category. Okay, cool. I'm like, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So 3, I understood 3 pillars. I think it's really good when you're pitching that you bring the audience, and someone said that you made it very nice linear, like it was very, you walked me through. I know there were 3 things. I thought the same, team, saying the same thing. I did it too. I was like, team coaching, how does this work? And I would just, I guess my point is don't worry about, remember, it's your own style. So it doesn't have to be, the whole elevator ride. You don't got to talk up the whole elevator. You could just talk. We have a dating service, or we have a matchmaking service. We provide safety, coaching, and matchmaking. And they're like, well, yeah, come with me. Now you're off the elevator, right? And now you're walking. I'd probably also say, I don't know why you did the business. Sometimes for me, I think in some of the stories, like what made you create this business? My daughter's a gymnast, and I only let people work on her that like have a reason why they want to do this work. Like, why do you want to work with kids? Why do you like this? I would say for me, the why is missing out of it. But remind yourself, like, the business, you knew it in and out, almost to where you know too much, because that's where you'll start rambling. So it's always, we do 3 things. We do give safety, coaching, and matchmaking. And that is intriguing enough. As a corporation, I don't know how I would work with you, but it's not about that. I mean, I knew people at hair care, fraud, all crazy cool stuff. But now it's just an awareness that I know you exist. And I love Love is Blind and all those shows. So like you were speaking to me and my husband watch all this. So I think what you do, just to Anjanette's point, is really awesome. How cool is that? Never heard of it. Don't know anything about it. Continue to do it. And the way you're doing it is very creative. So I'd say, again, you make your own box, you make your own pitch, you do it how you want. Go back to that, because that's why you guys have this business, right? That's why you have business, because you're like, we can do matchmaking with the spin. You can pitch with the spin. You can do all of it, but go back to that same mentality. Like, other than that, it was great.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you all so much for all of you for the advice.
I could just add something briefly. So anytime that I'm involved in matchmakings or pitch competitions, I do the same thing, because we're always trying to figure out how we can use you. So the first thing that I thought about was EAP. We have vendors, right, that, if MetLife, Legal, or whoever, this could be an option. And because it's vetted and we kind of know it's a safe space, it's I feel comfortable, working with this organization that's going to provide me some dating or some blah, 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 or, I have a 9-year-old daughter, so that's a place or a space that right away that came to my mind was EAP.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
I love that. Great idea.
Yeah.
That's like perfect place. Like I would want to work for a company that offers that. I was just on a plane and I saw something like on-time screening for like breast exams, like to make sure we all don't, but it was like get time off work with corporations. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, any benefits that companies can have that are different and again, outside the box, that's moneymaker right there. You need to put Anjanette on your team for more ideas.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, when I was thinking of where we would use this, what came to mind was our company does these for the employees, these health and wellness fairs, right? And you touch on something that's personal, but sometimes so needed, right? How do you get better at relationships? Not only dating, just relationships in general. So that would be a good space to come in and show what you offer. I mean, we had a company that was giving out edible gummies. I mean, for relaxation and stress, and they had gummies for everything. So why not have somebody come in and talk about what what you can do to help you build a better relationship with someone? So that's the kind of area that I thought of. And in terms of, and this is for all the presenters today, there's many times that you will only get 2 minutes. And I've always give the advice, go with the assumption that you have 2 minutes and always highlight what you do well very quickly. You don't have to highlight all 17 things that you do, but highlight those couple of things that you do well that are going to build that interest in continuing that conversation.
Okay, amazing. And I love that you brought that up about the health and wellness fair, because that has been something that we're trying to, prioritize for this year is how can we do corporate partnerships? And we were thinking of working with ERG groups and that kind of being the way in, but also being able to come up, to the ERG groups and different organizations and also talk about their health and wellness fairs, or just different community and, client resources that they have. I love that. So that's very helpful for us.
No,
I
I
think
would
what we're
definitely love
telling,
to stay connected
go ahead,
because
finish,
that
Madison.
our BRG loves to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I would definitely love to keep you connected.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I'd love to keep connecting.
I think if we kind of took everything that we just said about, we put it, some were able to think of how to put you in business, some had to think about it later, and it's like a slow burn. I
Yeah.
would, when you're pitching, incorporate that into your pitch so that people can visually see it, because
Mhm.
I feel like I'm pretty creative and I couldn't come up with anything, but
Yeah.
these two ladies did, right? And so
Mhm.
that's 1 out of 3. So if you can put that in your pitch to make sure that it's always in there, like here's a couple of ideas or something that we've done recently, or here's some of the highlights that we've been doing, whatever, just kind of little dropping it in would be really good. It'll help us put you there.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank
I
you.
loved this, by the way, Carly. I'm sorry. This was so fun. I wish I had something to sip, or a gummy that somebody gave. Like, where's the gummy? I was like, hold on. So thank you for having us. I just wanted to tell you one more time. I love this. This is so fun. So I'll go on mute. I'm gonna be quiet because I love it so much.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad, and we will always have you back. Thank you so much, Maxwell, again. That was a great job. I'm going to keep all the judges up here for a second. We're going to do some closing thoughts here. So reflecting back on all 3 of these fantastic pitches, and these fantastic presenters, I'll open this up to the audience as well, and people can jump in and give feedback if they want, but just want to provide an opportunity to the judges to give any closing thoughts to our presenters. And Marisol, I'll start with you.
Oh, great job, everyone. What I liked, just in general of this event, is that it was very diverse in the types of businesses. So I do appreciate that. For the presenters, there's really nothing more than I can say that I haven't said, but just, you know, keep up the great work, take those notes and really, just be open to what we've shared with you and you'll continue to do great.
Thanks so much, Marisol. And Janetta, do you want to go next?
Great job to all of the presenters and to any of the suppliers that are listening. Don't be afraid to throw your hat out there. If there's an opportunity that comes up for you to present your business in any forum, just be ready for it. Take the feedback and practice, practice, practice. You may run into me at conference. You can meet somebody on the elevator. Just be ready. If you stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Great feedback. And Jay, do you want to close us out for the closing thoughts?
Yes, I would say, I think what's really cool is all the uniqueness of everybody's business and if you really kind of think about it, you could all work together, honestly, just
Mhm.
the thought. So there's a business within all of y'all right here. And I'd say for the folks that were listening, that didn't present, I'd say like the courage of everyone that did present. I hope you found courage in hearing how people provide feedback to you. It is a safe place. And then lastly, I'd say is remember, just stay who you are. If you stay who you are, then you'll be fine. Because even though we're giving feedback to you today, sometimes that's, I think, to Chris's point, he's like, I'm a storyteller. I wanted to stay storytelling. And I think that's big. Like, never let anybody correct or make that change or make you second guessing that as the keynote. So stay true to who you are. And then my boss always tells me, like, just take the meat off the bone and throw the bones away. So you just take whatever's you need and then go for it, because a lot of people will give you all different kinds of feedback and ideas and statements. But at the end of the day, it's who you are. That's the true portion. If you try and switch it or pivot into something that you're not, it's never going to work out.
That's great feedback, very wise, and I love Anjanetta immediately quoting you in the chat. Awesome, thank you so much, judges. And before we close out, we're going to move on to the community and conversation portion of Sip and Pitch. So now that the pitches are over, we've gotten some feedback. We're going to do a little bit of speed networking. So we'll have a few different breakout group sessions where you'll have the chance to introduce yourself and your company and then answer the prompt on the slide. Feel free to divert from this, but it's a good place to get started. And each session will be about 10 minutes long, and then we'll come back into the main room before starting the next session. So for the first round, please share your name and pronouns and your company and role. And then I missed it because it's not up on the screen anymore, but share, I think it was share plans for your Q1. So something, a professional or business plan from Q1. Maybe we'll put that in the chat too.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get those breakout rooms open in a second, and then you can just click to join when they pop up on your screen. It's so funny. I never have the breakout or the prompts written down, and I was like, oh wait, where'd it go?
Well, I was like, I have to get to breakouts.
No, you did. No, that's not your fault. I just was like, oh crap. I don't remember.
I was
what
gonna jump in and say it, but then you were like, I think it's it's like, yep, no, you got it. It's what's one business or professional goal for the next quarter? I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, broadcast it.
Oh, I
Thanks.
can broadcast it.
Yeah. I think maybe we should just do 2 rooms just because there's not that many people. So
That's
I feel
what
like
I did.
oh, sorry. 2 groups, like 2 rounds, and just skip the last one.
Oh.
What do you think? I don't know, because I don't want to end too early, but also
Yeah, no, I agree.
don't want people to just end up meeting the same people the whole
Did I
time.
broadcast?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
I think that's the first time I've ever done that.
It's so scary how you can broadcast voice.
What?
Like you can broadcast your voice and then just like, I don't know, I guess talk over everyone in all of their rooms.
Really? I should do that in Accelerate.
I
I like that everyone's on the gummy wave right now.
know, it's so funny. Those didn't last long.
Free gummy. Lots of good advice today.
It was good. And I feel like it kept getting better also. Like I think sometimes they just need to warm up a little bit.
Are you still recording?
I think so. Yeah. But we just cut this part out. Obviously. Do you think guess I should just end it though, because
Like what do you have left to record?
Yeah, I'll stop it.